Hello, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful conversation today. I'm here with a dear colleague of mine, Mary D. Sklar, founder and author of the Seeing My Time books. And we're going to be talking a little bit today about how to set up your students for success in the time of COVID and beyond. So we have some questions and some thoughts and strategies prepared today. And we're just going to do some sharing and some connecting and talking back and forth with some strategies and tips and tools that we have found helpful for both students and the families supporting students. So I will have Mary D introduce yourself, if you don't mind, Mary D, just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I'm an educator by training and background, and I've been focused on the world of executive functioning, which means all the purposeful actions that we take to get things done for about, well, my business has been around for, really focusing on it for about 12 years. And, but I've been working on it for a long time because of my own brain, and my brain has some executive functioning challenges. So I've been working with kids. I had a private practice for many years with dyslexia and writing issues and math issues. And then I sort of slid into the executive functioning world. As I learned how to manage my own brain, I started realizing that a lot of kids had challenges, and so it just kind of blossomed into that. I didn't ever expect to become a specialist in anything, much less something called executive functioning in the brain, but that's what I've done, and it's been a great journey. And one of the pluses of the journey was meeting you, so it's been really, really great.
Oh, thank you, thank you. My background and kind of how Mary D and I met. So my background is in higher education and really finding a passion for supporting students in the transition from high school to higher ed, particularly students with learning differences, students with physical and mental health challenges as well. And so I really feel, my calling is to help those students and also their families to make a smooth transition from high school to college, and often navigating some of those different roles that parents take on from high school to college, and helping students as well navigate some of those executive functioning challenges that we'll talk about today, that will go from things that have been externalized and maybe given to them in high school to needing to be internalized with students taking the responsibility in college. So speaking of that, writing things down, do you have any tips for homework assignments, for how students can stay organized with homework?
Well, I'm all about making a plan and keeping the plan in sight, okay? And there's lots of different tools to do that. I like paper stuff or whiteboards. I like external things, even versus typing everything into your laptop or everything into your phone, because your brain really needs that motor activity of writing things down and putting them ideally in a month calendar planner. That would be that's my important starting point for people. I know I designed a whole planner system for college kids, and high school kids, just so they can see their time. And so writing things down on the day that they're assigned, and then crossing off every day, but not until you've got that assignment done. Does that make sense? You have kind of a record, because if you put everything down when it's due, then you're not looking at it. You're looking at today, and so you're, oh, everything's good, everything's good. And you go through your calendar day, and it's like all of a sudden you get to this next day, it's like, oh, now,
oh my gosh.
That's the wrong way to approach it. So write it down on the day that it's assigned, in addition to doing it on the day that it's assigned, because you may not actually finish the whole project on that day, but you've reactivated the neurons. So writing that plan down and keeping it in sight. So it can be on a clipboard, it can be in a planner page, it could be on a whiteboard in your room, but really sitting down and figuring out, when am I going to work on homework? Where are my open spaces to do homework? And here's something that I find for the college age kids, and it applies, jumping ahead here, to the COVID world. I tell my college kids, if they think like high school students, they're going to fail. And here's how high school kids think. They think, oh, I do all of my work after dinner, after soccer and everything. And so then their homework load isn't huge, but even then they're pushing their sleep time, but they do it all. And if you do it in college, you go, oh, I got all this time. I can hang out with my buddies. I can sleep late. I can, do this. I can do that. And I'll do all my homework when I, get back to my dorm or whatever. You'll be up till 1:30 or 2 in the morning trying to catch up. And then you oversleep and miss your 8 o'clock class. Okay. You'll miss 10 o'clock class, all right, because you stayed up too late. So I tell the kids, really push helping them look at the spaces between their classes, because that's not free time, that's open time.
Right.
So that's what come to work is during their open time. And just really think, because if you use your open time really well, right after class starts, your math goes faster, you're done. And then you can hang out with your buddies, after dinner for a while and get to bed at a reasonable hour.
Right.
So that's my consideration. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think that's such an important tip. And I think students, no one is telling students that, and families that schedules will shift, and that from high school to college, and that their homework time, just the whole kind of frame of reference of their homework time needs to shift. And I think that's so important. I think no one, in high school or college is really, I think we know that shift is happening, but we often aren't explicit about that, right? And I know you talk a lot about that, about being explicit, even with our own, executive functioning strategies, and telling students that.
Yes, yeah.
And, I completely agree about writing down homework and making it visible, because something that I'm finding, and maybe this will be a great segue to to our virtual learning students, is that I find students right now are, particularly in college, are getting information from their instructors in a lot of different places and in a lot of different ways, right? So they may be getting emails, they may have a schedule that's on an online portal from their college. They may have a separate online portal to submit assignments. And there's all of these multiple and different systems than they had, in high school. And it can be really challenging to organize and to take all of that information and keep track of it all. So like you mentioned, so I recommend, keeping all of that information and homework assignments in one place. Because the kind of the seeking and gathering can be really hard to do. But keeping it in one place, and like you mentioned, one place that's visible, I think it's so important. So for students, I recommend making multiple copies, of that schedule and putting it everywhere, putting it on the back of their dorm room door, putting it next to their bed, putting it in the front of their binders, right? Every place that they're going to see, right, in their bedroom and in their backpack. Just that's so important.
Yeah, because if they don't see it, they don't do it. They just wander off. And my brain does that. If I don't have it written down, I'll do lots of things, but not necessarily what I have to do.
None of the things I meant to do. Yeah.
The things I meant to do. So, I always keep things in my planner as I speak. It's like, right over here to the left of me. I've been crossing off things already today about where am I in time? What do I have to work on today? So,
Right.
yeah, very important.
Yeah.